Welcome back to Dreams of the Nameless, where facts don't care about Trump's feelings as cocaine floods into the country through legal ports of entry in this dystopian moment.
Border agents seized more than 16 tons of cocaine in one of the largest drug busts in American history. U.S. District Attorney William McSwain tweeted this amount of cocaine could kill millions, all caps, of people. My office is committed to keeping our borders secure and streets safe from deadly narcotics.
Well, but this is all going to be solved, right? Because we've got this wall going up.
Yeah, thank God we're going to build this border wall, because surely this border wall will stop the 16 tons of cocaine smuggled into the country via cargo ship in Philadelphia.
Oh.
Yeah, this is, I heard, according to one source, it was the third largest bust ever. And it happened in the port of Philadelphia, basically as far away from the southern border as you can possibly get. It turns out most of the drug trafficking that occurs in the United States, most of the drugs that get in, come in through legal ports of entry, which they use that term to mean both roadway and seaway. So these things are being shipped in by train, by truck, by car, by shipping container, by boat.
I don't know, Mike. It seems like what you're telling me here is that the reality absolutely means that Trump's wall is just racist and complete bullshit, and anybody who repeats the garbage justifications for it is themselves a racist, a bigot, and an idiot. But you're not actually saying that, right?
Oh, no, I am. I've been saying that. We've been saying that since the inception of our...
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is just the moment where we get to gloat because here's the factual evidence that shows that Trump's wall is not going to stop drugs. What a stupid fucking idiot idea that was in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally 16 tons. I don't know how much cocaine weighs, but that's got to be a massive volume. I'm not a heavy cocaine user by any means. I've never seen it as far as I know. So I don't even know what it would look like to have 16 tons of it. But I know that's not something that you're putting on the back of a child and sneaking across the border.
Well, but they have vehicles that are unbelievable.
Unbelievable vehicles. Yeah. I just, even if we warrant that, yes, there are drugs being, sequestered and seized on the border, they're not being taken from individuals who are lining up at current sections of border walls and voluntarily getting arrested to beg for asylum. They're not being taken from people who seek out border agents and saying, please arrest me so I can seek out asylum.
Well, let me
taken
jump in.
from people who are crossing legal crossings and stuffing it in their cars and their trucks, etc.
I lost it.
Oh, sorry. There's also, there is the rare occurrence of there's some tunnels under the sections of walls and stuff and yada yada, but
yeah,
most evidence tends to point to that those tunnels are being used for human trafficking and not drug trafficking.
Well, for me, I think it's worth remembering, and this is not a way that I've heard this issue framed before, so you heard it here first. Trump's whole thing is that he's a conspiracy nut. He has been for, as far as I know, decades. But he was an Obama birther guy, and I think he was a 9/11 truther for a while. It was an inside job thing.
I think he started the Obama birther thing.
He might. Well, at the very least, he was a big part of it. So anyway, The problem that I have with those types of conspiracies is that in order for you to believe that the thing took place the way that they're saying it did, you have to believe that the bureaucratic machine is so flawlessly constructed that it could come up with this elaborate scheme to fool everyone and never make a mistake and no one spills the beans. And this is why he says the things that he does about the southern border. It's the same error of logic. So he will tell you on one hand that we have to do something because these cartels are so powerful, so unimaginably robust that we have to build a castle wall. But at the same time, they're not just going to be throwing the shit over the border. They have more than one way to get the drugs here. And so there's this conflict between, on the one hand, he's telling us that they're immensely complex organizations that are super powerful and that we have to deal with. But on the other hand, he wants to build the wall to protect us from the stupidest, most basic, inefficient way that they might transfer drugs into the United States. I'm not sure if I made myself clear there, but the crux of it is that the drugs were never coming in that way. Because if I'm the cartel boss and I have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of drugs that are under my control, I'm not gonna send them on the backs of kids. That's not the way that you do it. You pay off who you need to pay off, and you use legal ports of entry like they do everywhere else in the fucking world. It's only here in the United States that we have this fantasy that our drug problem can be traced to just brown people crossing our southern border. It's ridiculous.
And even more, if you think about it, according to the Drug Enforcement Agency, the federal wing of the government that is in charge of all this stuff, cocaine and heroin are primarily produced in Colombia, Southern America, like these other countries. We don't just have poppy fields in the U.S. where people are like illegally manufacturing cocaine specifically and then shipping it out from fields in Alabama or something. This has to get into the country from elsewhere because we just don't manufacture it here. And
that's what I'm saying is, like, for them to do what Trump is implying that they could do, this is the point I was trying to make earlier, but I floundered. In order for them to do what he's saying they're doing on the border, they would have to have this crazy elaborate tunnel system, and no one would be spilling the beans, and they have to have an army of unimaginable vehicles and all of this accoutrement to make this happen, when we all know that what really happens is that's it.
Yeah.
They hand the money to the right fucking people, and then it goes through shipping routes or on planes or whatever else. And to pretend otherwise means your brain is really small. Really small.
Because logistically, to supply all of the users in the United States, if all of it is coming from out of the country, the logistics alone mean you have to ship it in bulk. There's no way that you can just hand small packages to people and say, quick, scuttle across the border. Like, it just isn't feasible.
Yeah, and I'm sure small potatoes drug deals are probably happening all the time, where people are running it across the border in the South. I'm not disputing that occurs. I just don't actually really care that much.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, to bring it full circle here, essentially, I think the first point is it highlights the farce that is this continuing war on drugs. It's backward ass, entirely politically motivated, and it all has to do with the American stigma of the drug dealer and the drug user. If we could stop this war, we could stop the stigmatization and actually treat it medically or with mental health or help people who are in need. It would prevent a lot of this issue to begin with. It wouldn't be getting shipped in from any source because the need would disappear. But then not only that, but there's the continuing travesty at the border. It's this whole border crisis continues, and it rests solely on nationalistic and tribalistic racism. The proponents rapidly point to crime and drugs and say that this is why we have to protect ourselves from these traumatized refugees. We have to build these walls because crime and drugs and but like that's just not happening. Like the story isn't there. It's not real. It's fake. You're a liar. Shut up.
Like and subscribe.